What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. The Liberals are in hiding. In fact, not only are they hiding, but they're cheating in many ways alongside their paid government shills, i.e., the mainstream media prostitutes, to try and brainwash people, I guess, into voting for them in the next election. It's a clear understatement as to why we've seen such a rapid election being called. Again, I think they're going the Doug Ford route. They're hoping they can use Donald Trump to try and pull their votes in for their benefit. And again, similar to pandemic style trickery, get people into being sheep to vote for them. I want to cover some articles today that support this, that back it up, because obviously I'm not going to make those statements without a little bit of proof for you. So let's take a look over here. Over on Twitter, government.exe reporting CTV News experts are fear-mongering ahead of the election, trying to scare people into thinking Trump will use military force to capture Canada. This is absurd. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. They predict our military will be crushed immediately, but Team Canada would rise up, sparking a decades-long insurgency. CTV News satire you can laugh at. Now, of course, you see down here the article showing that if U.S. President Donald Trump fails in his stated goal of annexing Canada through economic force, what could happen if he entered the world's most powerful military to invade? Some experts and academics say it's a notion too preposterous to even contemplate. But Mr. Ahmad, I guess, isn't one of them. When you look at power imbalance between U.S. and Canada, an invasion would immediately result in the defeat of Canada Armed Forces, said the University of Toronto political science professor who last month published an essay on the subject of the conversation. This is ridiculous that they start to talk about the U.S. invading Canada. We're not Ukraine. This isn't happening. This is all a matter of, again, pandemic-style fear tactics to get you to vote Liberal, thinking that Mark Carney is the only person who can handle Donald Trump. In fact, there have been many posts on social media talking about how Mark Carney apparently is at the end of discussing tariffs with Donald Trump simply because, well, he can handle it all. The fact of the matter that people need to realize, and people need to get rid of the distraction, is to understand that Mark Carney's in a custodial position. He actually can't offer any deals. He can't make any deals. He can't sign any new laws. He can't promise anything aside from the potential to end these problems. What's funny is that as they're campaigning, Mark Carney's own riding in Nepean, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize if I'm not. It says, don't tell me Mark Carney's polling at 50% when his staff resorts to this type of tactic. We've seen this in the polls. We've already know the polls are bogus. But take a look at what's going on in Nepean here. Ryan Garrettson, again, great Twitter account, spotted in Nepean. This is ridiculous that the Liberals are doing. 6 signs on one corner, clearly trying to block out Barbara Ball's signs. Look at this. Like, of course they would do this because elbows up, right? If people don't understand the term elbows up, it actually means you're fighting dirty. It's a dirty term in hockey. I know it was aligned with Gordie Howe, but it's essentially put forward with fighting dirty. This is fighting dirty. In fact, we've reached out to Barbara Ball's office. I'm hoping to get Barbara on the channel. I know she follows me on X. We've sent out the messages. Again, with only 28 days to the campaign vote, it's tough to get some of these representatives on the channel simply because they're out running around trying to win their seats. So again, we'll try and get Barbara on the channel. But what's funny is even in Toronto, look at this. Yara Sax's campaign going through. Here's the pleb tweeting out, Liberal volunteers are already cheating with yard signs in Toronto. Why can't they just compete fairly? This is so pathetic. The reason they can't is because they got nothing to stand on. This is why anybody who's fearful of Mark Carney should be really understanding the global scale of what's happening here. If they were confident, if the Liberals were confident they were going to win the next election, they wouldn't need to do things like this. They wouldn't need to put out fear-mongering articles. They wouldn't need to start bringing in slogans like elbows up and Team Canada. They're desperate. Mark Carney has zero presence, by the way. Join me on the channel for the live debate. We're going to be streaming that, where Pierre Poilievre's going to absolutely chew up and spit out Mark Carney. I'll be shocked if Mark Carney doesn't cancel it. Knock on wood on that one. But what's funny is with Mark Carney refusing to talk to people and canceling things, take a look at this post by Brian Lilly. Yesterday, Mark Carney's campaign blocked local Nepean media from covering his campaign office launch in his riding of Nepean. Today, he's closing both campaign events to media. Now, Mark Carney has already done this throughout. We've seen social media influencers not allowed at his rallies. We've seen him refusing to talk to certain forms of media, especially even the CBC. He's upset with Rosemary Barton. Take a look here. For immediate release, March 29th. Media advisory. The Liberal leader, Mark Carney, will meet with community members in Ontario on March 30th. To closed door, by the way. At noon, Liberal leader Mark Carney will meet with a local family in Ottawa. Notes for media. Closed to media. Then at 7 p.m., Liberal leader Mark Carney will meet with volunteers. Notes, it's closed to media. If Mark Carney again felt that he was the leader to tackle everything, that he was going to defeat Donald Trump, that he was going to make Canada somewhat great again, well, then Mark Carney wouldn't have to resort to slapping his yard signs over top of Conservatives. He wouldn't have to ignore the media. He wouldn't have to cancel French debates. He wouldn't have to do a lot of the things that he's doing. This is a scared man. If anything, people, this should be a good sign of where we're headed before we go to the polls. But nonetheless, as I've said in every other video, most important election of our generation, we need to make this too big to rig, especially if you're in Ontario. Make sure you're getting your voter cards. Make sure you vote. This is the time to do so, even if you've never voted in an election before, if you've refused. It's so critically important. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you stand in line. Do your due diligence as a Canadian. Get the vote out, folks. Let's see that giant blue wave come in on on Pierre's side to prevent Mark Carney from taking office. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think the Liberals have a strong campaign? Do you think Donald Trump's going to take Canada by force? Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, folks. At this time especially, censorship is going to be at an all-time high. The Liberals, obviously, as you can see from those news articles, are paying to make sure you're not getting the news you need. Make sure to subscribe to every political channel, not just this one that you follow, so that you can get all updates, all news whenever it drops. And while you're doing that, click your bell for all notifications. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show, where I'm joined by my very beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, as we talk back and forth about everything that happened this week in politics, everything coming up in the week ahead that we're aware of, as well as Q&A and hearing what you have to say inside of the greatest YouTube community on this platform. We look forward to hearing what you guys have to say outside of making these videos, but I look forward to hearing most what you have to say this Friday night, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.